Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I wanted to bring you guys another top 10 list, and I wanted to finish the other gender half of our top 10 best female characters to follow it up with today's top 10 best male characters. Now, male characters make up about 2/3 of the characters in the game, so I did have a lot of characters to go through and a long list to peruse. However, I think I have curated for you at least my opinion on the top 10 best. Now, most of these on the top 10 best are going to be very difficult to obtain for free-to-play players, whether they're bio subscription characters or they need a lot of black antimatter and a lot of farming, so do take that into consideration. But they are the best for those reasons. They do the most damage, they're the easiest to play, they're the most fearsome, and they're the best for all of the different game modes, you know, Alliance Battle, Shadowland, World Boss, etc. So that's why they've been selected. And so let's start off the list at number 10, Yellow Jacket. Yellow Jacket is on this list because he's fantastic. He has multiple iframes on his skills. He does insane damage for a blast character, and his tier 2 passive is very good. It gives him more damage, more survivability, and it increases his bounce back skill, which also gives him more attack and more survivability. He becomes smaller. Visually speaking, Yellow Jacket is one of the coolest characters in the game. His uniform is fantastic, although it's the default uniform for him. I know a lot of people want to see his all new and all different uniform, and I would as well, but I can't deny how awesome and badass he looks. For a blast character, he holds his own in terms of damage, and he's very easy to use for new players because his skill set is just very intuitive, and he is farmable. So for those reasons, he comes in at number 10 on the list. Number 9 on the list is also farmable and recently got an update to make him much more suitable for players. Blackbolt, the king of Attilan. His wife is coming soon, guys. I'm super excited about that. Blackbolt is fantastic. With his update, he now has immunity when he gets his Silent King tier 2 passive, so you can trigger it every time you use the quasi-sonic scream, which makes him great for new players. He's farmable, and his leadership buffs his own damage, which just compounds how badass he is. Again, the animations on the character are fantastic. He has a uniform which makes him look even cooler, although his modern uniform is quite iconic. And overall, he's a very fun character to play, and you just feel the strength and the power of all of his roars and of his voice when you use his skills, and they do awesome damage. And he's also pretty good. He holds his own for Extreme Alliance Battle, Universal Hero, so for those reasons, he's at number 9. Number 8 on the list is a bit of a gender bender that appears on both lists simultaneously, Loki. Although Loki is here at number 8, and Loki was much higher on my female list, without the uniform, Loki doesn't lose a lot of stats. Of course, Loki does lose the bonuses of 10% that are conferred by the uniform and the freeze effect on the Scepter Bolt, but aside from that and those badass horns, I do think they kind of look better when they're smaller, to be honest. They look a little bit cartoony here. Aside from those features that Loki loses with the uniform, or without the uniform I should say, Loki still retains the majority of the reasons and the majority of the skills that make him such a powerhouse. The Scepter Bolt pierces, which does good damage overall. The Arcane Barrier has the Guard, which is excellent. And Mind Games, 95% of his stats, 4 clones, dealing massive damage. The tier 2 just increases both his cold damage natively and his clones damage and their lastingness, their duration. That's the word I was looking for. So overall, he's just a fantastic character, super easy for new players to use, farmable from Dimension Rifts, and just still to this day one of the top staples in the game. Number 7 on the list, one of the newer additions from one of the recent updates, Hellstorm. Hellstorm is on this list for a variety of reasons, but one of the most important ones is that while he is farmable, he is very useful for Universal Hero. He's probably slightly better than Blackbolt in the Universal Hero Extreme Alliance Battle day in terms of score. He just needs a little bit of help from his sister. But he does help himself out a lot with a lot of different tools that make him a very formidable character and a character that's easy to use. His Fire Burst gives him a 5-second immunity, which is very premium as a stat, and it's triggerable every 8 seconds if you have max cooldown. He's got summons that are pretty good, and they do take aggro, although they do also take damage, so don't cast them in World Boss Invasion. He also has on his, I believe it's Ring of Fire, he has a iframe, which is fantastic. So overall, he's got a lot of different skills in his kit that make him powerful, and as well his passive when he gets to tier 2 will heal him and buff his damage every 20 seconds, which is fantastic. So for those reasons, Hellstorm is firmly in place at number 7 on the list. Number 6 on the list, Moon Knight. Moon Knight is an excellent character. He looks really cool whether you have his modern or his armored uniform, although I do prefer the armored uniform. A lot of his skills have iframes, especially with the uniform, like Crescent Darts, and his Lunar Eclipse does excellent damage if you can get it to proc with an obelisk effect like that. As far as Moon Knight goes for his passive, he has one of the best tier 2 passives, if not the best tier 2 passive in the game. He heals himself whenever you get low on health, so you know, even dummies can use him. He's that easy. And he's fantastic for the Combat Hero Alliance Battle Day. He's fantastic for clearing world bosses. He can clear levels in the 20s for Shadowland for the 420 and up when you have him at tier 2. At tier 1, he's a bit underwhelming, but that's like most characters on this list in general. So you have to take that into consideration when you're looking for who to tier 2 next. But that's why Moon Knight for me is number 6. Number 5, similarly to Moon Knight, another combat character, but this time he's not a hero. He is a villain, Carnage. He is the only, like, quote-unquote, unfarmable character. He's totally paywall in that aspect that you need to buy a bio subscription for him if you didn't collect him with your first bio sub when you started the game as a new player. Only for recent new players. I don't believe I had that way back when I started, because that stuff didn't even exist, but I digress. Carnage is fantastic at tier 2. Again, at tier 1, he's a bit underwhelming, but at tier 2, he really shines. Insanity Strike gives him 5 seconds of invincibility, or excuse me, 6 seconds. And you can rotate through Insanity Strike and Camouflage Strike to be basically undamageable as long as you don't get debuffed. His leadership is good because it buffs his damage even further, and he looks amazing. He has some of the best and most iconic animations in the game, and he is fantastic and bar none the best choice for combat supervillain Extreme Alliance Battle Day. He can clear almost any floor of Shadowlands at tier 2 by himself without any help, and he can kill Infinity Thanos quite handily. So for those reasons, he has to be number 5. Number 4, 3, 2, and 1 on this list are all characters that require black antimatter in some form in order to develop them, so please keep that in mind that is going to be a prerequisite moving forward. Number 4 on the list, we have our Eternal Death Knight Corvis. I was going to say King Corvis, not quite yet. The man with the halberd that revives. I love Corvis for so many different reasons, but he's also one of the best characters in the game for those same reasons. Peekaboo gives him immunity for 5 seconds. He has summons that come out and take aggro and deal respectable damage. He has an excellent 3-second paralyzed CC that you can perpetually cast if you have max skill cooldown. His Pain Wheel does fantastic damage, especially if you can shotgun it up close. And if you just so happen to die with him, well, you get another shot because he revives with 100% of his maximum HP, even better than Groot's heal. And his tier 2 passive that's just native, because he's a natively tier 2 character, just makes him even more much of a vicious fighter with guaranteed dodge and a buff for his summons. Corvis is one of the best characters in the game. He's excellent at clearing world bosses. He can beat Infinity Thanos. He can beat pretty much any level of Shadowland. And he's excellent for Extreme Alliance Battle, Supervillain, Universal Day. So for those reasons, he's firmly in at the number 4 spot. Number 3 is our main man, Thanos. Now, there's going to be a little bit of contentiousness over where Thanos lands on this list, whether it's number 2 or number 3. I am going to put him at number 3 on this list just because of Extreme Alliance Battle, where Thanos doesn't really shine. But Thanos is one of the best characters in the game, and he might be, on some days, the best PvP character for a few reasons. Thanos has an insane 5th skill, Cosmic Drop. He becomes immune, he disappears, a whole shit ton of meteors rain down, and then he comes down and punches you one last time. He has a debuff on his Titan Punch. He has a very respectable DPS 2nd skill in Titan Beam. His Mad Titan passive can make him immune or just recover, casually recover 30% of his HP a la Moon Knight. So he has 4-star passives that are better than most characters' tier 2 passives, which just blows my mind. He's got the strongest leadership in the game, and overall he's just a massive badass. He can clear basically any content in the game. The only situation in which Thanos struggles is for Extreme Alliance Supervillain Universal Day, because his damage is just not that fast. He's not a high DPS character. He is a high damaging character, but he just doesn't do it in as much of a hurry as other characters do, and so he takes his time, and he's just very tanky, and that just doesn't suit the playstyle for Extreme Alliance Battle, and that's why for me he's on this list at number 3. And if he's number 3, there can only be one number 2, and that's our recent addition, Bearded Giant Odin. Odin is number 2 because he's just insane. He has immunity on his Odin Force skill for 3 seconds, and it does massive after effect damage with the increasing slashes while your character is just running around. He's got multiple iframes. His 4-star skill is crazy. It decreases all damage received by 30%. His Asgardian Barrier applies a refreshing 3-hit guard for the whole team, which is insane, just fantastic. And he's got Cancel Resist, which is an iconic tier 2 passive. He's got massive damage. His damage is insane. Per hit, he might be the highest damaging character in the game. It's just that his skills don't hit as many times as a certain other character that we're going to talk about in a second. The only thing missing from Odin's kit would be an offensive leadership, but he still has a very useful leadership in this meta, and a healing. He doesn't have healing. That's all he's missing. Otherwise, Odin is a fantastic character. He is number 1 for Universal Hero Extreme Alliance Battle Day. He can clear basically any content of the game, and he is super formidable for PvP, and that's why he's number 2. Number 1 on the list, if you haven't already guessed it, of course, has to be Doctor Strange. I've said it once, I've said it a million times. This guy is nuts. He is the bar to set, and he is the man to beat for all future characters and all future updates. He has healing, he has iframes, he has self buffs, he has immunity, he has basically everything you could want. I don't even want clones. I don't need another Stephen Strange. I have enough Mr. Doctors as it is. He's just fantastic from top to bottom. He freezes world bosses. He basically scares the shit out of everyone. He created the new meta essentially by himself. He made Wasp's tier 2 passive relevant. Doctor Strange by far is the best character in the game, and there's just so many reasons why. And of course, he is the man for not 1 but 2 Extreme Alliance battle days, and I expect nothing less from Mr. Doctor. So that's my list for the top 10 best male heroes. It was a little bit tougher to make than the female list because there are just so many strong heroes. And I had especially tough of a time at the bottom there with number like 8, 9, and 10. So that I felt like there could be a couple of other characters that could make that list. Maybe Miles Morales, maybe Malekith. So let me know in the comments who you think I missed, if I missed any characters, or if I put characters too high or too low. Let me know if I'm missing someone that really deserves to be on this list. And of course, guys, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.